The House has resumed, and members' order of the day number 1 had been called, but we have yet to have the bill's sponsor.
Mr Speaker.
Rahui Katini.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I move that Goods and Services Tax Exemption of Healthy Food Amendment Bill be now read a first time.
Hear, hear.
At the appropriate time, I intend to move that the bill be considered by the Health Committee. Timing is everything. Just over a year ago, I stood to introduce my very first private member's bill, Te Rā o Matariki Bill, or the Matariki Day Bill. That bill was an opportunity to welcome a new dawn, to celebrate our distinctly New Zealand culture, and within that, to acknowledge the importance of planning and preparing for our future, the future which cared for all peoples of this land, Aotearoa. Then, just 4 days ago, a violent earthquake shook my electorate to its very feet, striking fear in the hearts of the people of Ōtautahi and leaving far too many families nervous about their financial outlook in the wake of damage done to business and home. Today, Mr Speaker, this bill is a genuine attempt to make a difference for low-income families, to make a difference for the health and well-being of New Zealanders, and in doing so to create a new environment of care for the future of our nation. I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to Dr Gay Keating, the National Executive Officer of the Public Health Association, the Māori Women's Welfare League, the Country Women's Institute, the Alliance and Socialist Unity Parties, and the Residents' Action Movement. It was the Residents' Action Movement who gathered up the support and signatures of some 25,000 people and then embarked on a high-profile procession to Parliament in October 2008, rallying support along the way to take GST off food on the grounds that GST hits low-income people disproportionately. I acknowledge the influence of all of these people and organisations in my putting together this bill. And I want to lead off with the words of encouragement from Dr Gay Keating, and I quote, "These benefits include helping all New Zealanders improve their diet, particularly families on lower incomes, which are likely to be harder hit by any increase in GST. Supporting Ms Cartier's bill would be a great move towards increased fairness. It would also be a great start towards lowering the high rate of avoidable disease, hospital admissions and premature deaths that plague lower income families. I would find it hard to believe that any politician could fail to be moved by such advice, and it is in that spirit that I seek the opportunity across the House to at least enable this bill to benefit from the scrutiny of the Select Committee process. The Goods and Services Tax Exemption of Healthy Food Amendment Bill has emerged out of a growing body of government and independent research which confirms the persistence of a high level of poverty and associated health and well-being effects in New Zealand, particularly in our children. And international research, including the recent OECD report, Doing Better for Children, has also confirmed the high rates of child poverty, poor living conditions and poor health status for children in low-income families in New Zealand. Professor Tony Blakely from Otago University's Public Health Department has made a substantial contribution to this debate through his study surveying the health and nutritional habits of some 1,100 shoppers. The study concluded that a 12.5% drop in price increased people's consumption of healthy food by a massive 11%. The cold, hard facts of life are that food prices have risen more than 20% in the last 3 years, while real incomes have risen only very slightly. And within this, the increases for the staples of a nutritious diet, such as fruit, vegetables and milk, have been particularly high. As New Zealanders have heard about my bill and written to me with their support, I have heard some shocking stories about the markup on food prices by retailers. Some retailers have been charging 500% more GST to customers than they are paying in GST to the growers. If that's not outright robbery, I'd like to know what is. I want to emphasise that while all consumers will benefit from the removal of goods and services tax from healthy food, those on lower incomes spend a greater proportion of their income on food and will receive a significant benefit as a result. My bill then seeks to address rising food prices and the impact this has on the ability of those in low-income households to purchase healthy food by exempting this food from goods and services tax. I have been amused at some of the cynics who have complained that it would be difficult to define what is healthy and what isn't. It reminds me of that song, "You say tomato and I say tomato," all technical detail which could easily be dealt with by administrators in fine-tuning the policy for enactment. In my bill, I have been very specific about how healthy food will be interpreted. It is fruit and veggies, including fresh, frozen, canned and dried, breads and cereal, including all bread, grains, rice, pasta, milk and milk products, including cheese, yoghurt and plain milk, but excluding ice cream, sorry Charles, cream products, condensed milk and flavoured milk, lean meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, nuts, seeds and legumes. Another issue which some critics have sought to expose has been about costings. Analysis of the Statistics New Zealand's Household Economic Survey 2008 estimate that annual GST on all fruit and vegetables sold in New Zealand households was $167 million. In fact, an analysis collated for a Sunday paper in January 2009 showed that in reality the government earned just under $51 million in GST revenue on fruit and veggies in the year to June. So it's not likely that this bill would break the bank. Instead, it could well create impressive savings in health and well-being. There has been some wild allegations that GST off food is $1,267 billion, but what that figure represents is all food and non-alcoholic beverages, whereas my bill restricts the meaning of healthy food to the definition of healthy food based on the Ministry of Health's Food and Nutrition Guidelines. Finally, I want to focus on the long-term savings that taking tax off healthy food could establish for this nation. Organisations such as the Public Health Association of New Zealand and the Heart Foundation of New Zealand have called for goods and service tax to be removed from foods which constitute a healthy diet to make them more affordable. Alongside their support, I was interested in the views put forward by Fight Obesity Epidemic spokeswoman Dr. Robin Tumath. Her view was that removing tax on healthy foods and putting higher taxes on unhealthy food was ideologically sound, and it does not need to be as difficult as some people make out. What we already know is that many countries, including Australia and Britain, have already removed the GST equivalent on certain healthy foods. In fact, in all the talk about how great it would be to have a single Australasian market, it would be perfectly appropriate to work with the Australian Tax Office, who have produced a computerised model which makes GST food and beverage compliance extremely easy to manage. I want to acknowledge the enthusiastic support of the Labour Party and in particular Mr Phil Goff, who have embraced the opportunity to at least explore the proposal to take the tax off food in an effort to encourage people to eat more healthy food. Excuse me. A GST food exemption is an easy and effective way to foster support for eating nourishing food, for protecting families from exorbitant costs, and for paving the way for a healthy future for all peoples of Aotearoa. I urge the House to support the Goods and Services Tax Exemption of Healthy Food Amendment Bill.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr Speaker.
Craig